Okay, in this brief video, I'm just going to talk about the way the CPI basket breaks down. So what you're seeing here, um, this pie chart is just showing, well, once we put all the different kinds of spending in categories and we look at the price times the quantity of that category, how much do they break down? So it could get kind of interesting to take a look at this. So housing is by far the biggest. Okay, so housing is the biggest by far. It's uh, almost 45%. That's really big. This shouldn't be surprising to you. Many of you probably are living on your own, paying rent, etc. But even if you're at home, your parents probably would easily tell you that housing is the biggest part. So this would include the cost of rental housing. It will also include any other kinds of costs that are directly related to housing. For example, like trash or sewer or those kind of things would all be directly into housing. So it's a really big part, big part. So when rents go up, as they have quite a lot, then we'll find this will have a pretty big effect on the CPI. Some of the things in the next two, you're probably not surprised about food and beverage, right? So this is not surprising. Food and beverage this includes. I don't think this is surprising at all. In fact, probably some of you are surprised at all. This would be groceries, and this also be restaurants, coffee shops, right? So this would be your daily run to your favorite coffee shop, and also could be drinks. So if you go out to the bar or go out to that kind of place, this is also in this. This includes a lot of stuff. I would guess for younger people, the food and beverage category may be a very big part of their budget. A lot of younger people spend a lot of their money at these kind of places, and maybe if they have especially more free time, they might spend a lot of time going out to eat or coffee shops or having drinks with friends. So it may be a little surprising to you that it's not a bigger part, but maybe for other people they might spend more time eating at home, and so groceries won't be quite a big part of the spending. Again, this is not the portion of the average family's income. This is the portion of the items that make it into the basket. How much of the budget do they take? Next thing, you're probably not surprised at all, is transportation. So when I used to teach in China, my Chinese students were really surprised at the transportation because they spent very little of their money on transportation. They had good public transportation that was highly subsidized and very cheap. And the cabs were not very expensive, and not tons of people used their private car on a regular basis. So they were super surprised at transportation, but actually transportation is a very big cost. For most people in the US, to go anywhere, they need a car. And often they drive long distances because many people, the U.S. cities are very spread out. And also, so this is quite high. Transportation is a quite high part. Then we go on from there. So then I won't write down anything, but next are education, communication, and medical care. Now, some people might be surprised the medical care is only about 8%. But remember, this only includes the portion of medical care that the patient is paying for. So the total expense for the country on medical care is really high, but part of that's paid for by the government and part of that's paid for by the employer, right? The contribution to the insurance. So that's part of the reason the medical care is not very high. It's kind of the same for education. Part of the reason it's not higher is because not a very high percentage of families will have a student in college right now. College is, of course, very expensive, and the vast majority of students going to K-12 education are going to public schools. So yes, public schools require a lot of spending, but that spending is done by the government. And then there's maybe a lot of families that don't have anybody in school, and so this gives us that's why it's not such a huge amount. So anyways, you can see the breakdown. Oh, apparel. You might find this is funny. Apparel. So this is clothing and things like clothing and shoes, etc. It's not very much at all. Again, some of you might be really into fashion, looking good. Maybe for you, your expenses on apparel are quite a bit more. So what I want you to do is in this week's discussion section, I want you to make a similar looking chart. If you're challenged on making the chart, you can just make it as a list. But I want you to make something similar and try to break down your spending in these same categories and post it in the discussion section, as well as post a few comments about why yours is very different than this or why yours is very similar to this.